Billions of dollars meant to fight poverty, rebuild nations, and save lives, gone. Vanished through layers of bureaucracy, shell companies, and offshore accounts. And behind it all? A web of politicians, consultants, and international contractors who learned how to turn aid into profit. Today on Scandalous, we dig into the global aid corruption scandal that's shaken confidence in humanitarian institutions, exposed loopholes in oversight, and raised one uncomfortable question. When money is meant for the poor, who really gets rich? It starts with good intentions. Every year, global institutions, the World Bank, IMF, the UN, and dozens of NGOs allocate billions for development programs, health, education, infrastructure. But once those funds leave donor nations, tracing them becomes a challenge. Documents vanish, audits are delayed, and in many cases, the very people entrusted with managing the money become the gatekeepers of secrecy. In 2024, an internal investigation by several aid watchdogs uncovered systemic misuse of funds, from procurement fraud to falsified reports. Entire ghost projects existed only on paper. And this wasn't confined to one region. Evidence spanned Africa, Southeast Asia, and parts of Eastern Europe.
Here's how it worked. Funds earmarked for community clinics were routed through consultancy firms that charged inflated fees. Contractors billed for roads never built, and in several cases, fake NGO, often registered just months before contracts were signed, became conduits for millions in development assistance. A confidential source described it as a parallel aid economy, one where insiders knew how to extract commissions and kickbacks under the guise of progress. One investigative report traced over $3.2 billion in questionable transactions with offshore accounts in Cyprus, the British Virgin Islands, and Dubai. And the trail didn't stop there. Some funds found their way into election campaigns and luxury real estate purchases by former government officials. Public outrage has followed every new revelation, but accountability? That's been harder to find. Most large institutions rely on internal compliance offices, not law enforcement. And while some officials have been quietly suspended or reassigned, very few have faced prosecution. In several donor countries, lawmakers have begun to ask, are we funding change or fueling corruption? The European Parliament, for instance, launched hearings into aid transparency. The U.S. State Department reviewed its contracting process. And in Africa, journalists and activists are pushing for open data on aid projects, demanding that every dollar spent be traceable to a real result. But the system's complexity is its best defense. Too many intermediaries, too many jurisdictions, and too little political will.
Behind every stolen dollar is a broken promise. In one West African region, a clinic that was supposed to serve 20,000 people was never completed, even though, on paper, the project was fully funded. In parts of Southeast Asia, school construction projects were halted midway as money disappeared. And the victims are the same people these programs were designed to help: families still waiting for clean water, children still learning under trees, communities still in the dark. It's a quiet tragedy, overshadowed by numbers and reports, but for millions, it's painfully real.
There are signs of change. New watchdog groups are calling for radical transparency, public dashboards showing where every aid dollar goes. Technology startups are experimenting with blockchain tracking systems for humanitarian funding. And a handful of countries now demand that foreign aid contracts be publicly audited. But experts warn, until whistleblowers are protected and legal action becomes the norm, not the exception, corruption will remain the hidden tax on global aid. Billions stolen, lives affected, trust broken. The global aid scandal isn't just a financial crime, it's a betrayal